So the iPhone 13 is in a very interesting situation where it's not really the, flagship it used to be anymore, but because of the iPhone 14, it has kind of prolonged the life of the iPhone 13. At least I think so. So for those of you who don't know, the iPhone 13 and the iPhone 14 share the exact same chipset inside. Now there's a little bit of a difference here. It looks like to me that the iPhone 14 does have an extra core or two, so that is probably one thing to keep in mind. But the standard iPhone 13, if Apple's going to be changing things how we kind of think they're going to be changing them, the iPhone 13 may be in a weird situation. Now, again, this is just kind of my thoughts. It's not necessarily 100% the case yet, but if we look at what the Apple kind of did with the iPhone 14s, right? The iPhone 14 has that Apple A15 Bionic chip inside. The iPhone 14 Pro has that Apple A16 Bionic chip inside. Because of that difference, we can probably assume that next year with the iPhone 15s, Apple is probably going to put the A16 on the iPhone 15 and then the A17 in the iPhone 15 Pro. Now, the reason I bring that up is because the Pro models of last year will probably last as long as the base models of this year. So with that kind of, reoccurring trend kind of going on, we can probably assume that the iPhone 14 Pro will last as long as the base model of the iPhone 15. Now, because the iPhone 14 kind of has the same chipset as the iPhone 13 Pro, is this going to mean that potentially the iPhone 13 Pro could actually end up lasting longer than the iPhone 13? Even though they share the same Apple A15 Bionic chip, the one on the iPhone 13 Pro is actually spec'd a little bit higher than the standard one on the iPhone 13. We haven't really seen this before on really any other iPhone. Now they could have named this like the A12Z or something along those lines. If we look at the iPads, Apple does that exactly the same thing every single year. They will go ahead and basically make an A12Z, A12X. Really, with the M1 chipsets, they've been kind of going away from this. But this kind of makes sense when you really look at the iPhone 14 and the 14 Pro. And if Apple just extends this one lifetime below, and even when Apple was making that keynote of the iPhone 14s, they kept mentioning the iPhone 13 Pro that had the same chipset as the iPhone 13 Pro and not the same one as the iPhone, 13. So if that ends up being the case, it might be more for marketing or whatever, but there's a chance that the iPhone 13 may actually not last as long as the iPhone 13 Pro in terms of software. So when iOS, 21 or iOS 22 comes out, maybe there's a chance there's going to be some differences in the software. Maybe they'll both be getting the same version of software, but the iPhone 13 Pro version will be way more just full of features. I'm not 100% too sure. We haven't really seen this before from Apple, but I guess we're going to see what happens in the future. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that would be so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I got you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.